Adam and Eve. Some of my viewers wanted it real quick. They thought it's a little bit. The reason is ancient sciences were working together as one body, one act, and they're obfuscating. They're self-obfuscating the sciences since ancient times. From the original revelations, there are proofs of this. Excuse me. Um, so Adam and Eve. Adam, every word of English, this is how it works. Every word of English, every letter spells out a word, and every word spells out a sentence. And the reason this works is because every part and every subpart of English shares the same positive identity. How? Because of the way English was revealed. This is why in the other videos, watch my other videos. These are all connected. And the reason why I'm starting off because this is connected to cipher, which is to decipher with the Old Testament. You see how Jesus says in the beginning of the Old Testament, the rainbow is my tool. This is not for emotions. My father used to say, emotions are the parents of illusion. I think the ancients used to say. So, emotions are the parents of illusion. Adam spells out a word, and Eve spells out a word because each letter spells out a word. A word. So Adam spells out a sentence, and Eve spells out a sentence. Adam spells out alpha diffuses, alpha's mother, and Eve spells out energies victory, energizes. See the video I have on women. Man spells out mother's alpha neutralizes, and woman spells out walls omega mother W-O alpha neutralizes. The walls omega mother W-O-M. The walls omega mother alpha neutralizes woman. And man spells out mother's alpha neutralizes. So you see how the man and the woman are inseparable from themselves as the same positive space nature identity. All space nature shares the same positive identity. And we know this, we're going to learn this through correlation in relationship to how each part and subpart of English works in definition, in demonstration of what is actively in demonstration of our the importance and the nature of our identities as correlation nature in relationship to one active value nature system that is in demonstration to us, but that has been obfuscated since ancient times. Obfuscated means make it not understood, all different kinds of ways. So alpha stands for alpha diffuses alpha's mother, and Eve stands for energies victory energizes. The V stands for the victory, but it stands for it with a Y because there's positive and negative value nature natures of victory. The only real victory is connected as our shared victory. This is why we are a species, to understand unchanging positive space nature's positive identity as our own. Always. So we have a means to correlate the invisible. Value A is to show the three natures of correlation. There's what we can agree that we can see that's not physical, that we can correlate directly, which is value A, the written part of value A, the three lines, one semi line and two full height lines all the way up. Now, this is a longing. There's an invisible longing there. So that A in the video one or two before this, that A is juxtaposed with zero because there's three natures of zero. There's one with the bond to matter. There's one, and these are three natures of correlation. There's one inherent to the nature of the zero that we know, and we're label that value A. And inherent to that is value AH. We're going to learn this. This is what's coming through. This value AH is completely invisible, but yet discernible through through correlation. The two value natures of value L are semi-discernible through correlation, and value A is completely discernible through through correlation with those three parts. All put in other words, male and female are polarity nature of the same correlation nature, of the same polarity that with the Trinity. A Trinity can be positive or negative value nature, and we're going to reveal what makes a positive value nature. So that's why, and this is also in relationship to the law. For example, Adam stands for the subject, and Eve stands for the predicate. A predicate is a space value. Now this is with English grammar. In the law, a predicate act is I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police, I'm not forum, I'm not a criminal. And with the law, a predicate act is a relationship, is a high crime in relationship to a crime caused by an international organized crime, or a criminal enterprise, or an interstate one. Which these are, we have proofs that these are greatly, all our crimes basically have inseparable connections from original terror laws and entrenchments with American Revolution in relationship to a method that our founders used to counter that. Especially James Madison. That's why they called him the father of our country. They call it for other reasons, not out of ignorance. Because you can master all kinds of facts about American history. But if you don't have his extortion understood, and the founder of ours the extortion of our founders understood up front, and in other words, what was already entrenched here, and what their method to eventually overcome it was, then you can't understand that. So we're going to learn how regular people can use value nature system inherent to consciousness to know more than experts. By knowing we don't know more than them too, though. We have to reveal what we really know. For example, it's a mistake to go after prejudice is real, okay? But it's an abstract thing. In other words, when everyone goes after surface values and this nature of logic, of this nature of justice is not real justice. It's going to bring pseudo justice because we're not going for the real logistical impositions upon our areas, all of them, especially our most exploited areas first. And we're going to understand a real value nature system for its own correlation, for its own benefit. Real training comes from focusing everything right where it's needed most. That's where value nature progressions come from, real value nature progressions. Because that's real positive value nature in all ways. That's real law, not let. And a lot part is because of the negotiations. With forced terror markets positions, forced shared police, forced markets position, forced denatured landscape to force this, all this uncharged. And so much with it. This is original retreats. This is in the nature of forward, what it is contained in. With every nation, there's not one nation that's free, and our leaders aren't extorted, low predatory opinion natures only let realized per the roles of the sciences uncharged with this as yet, internation. And because this is what we need forgiveness for. Instead of going after this is what everyone was trained to defend. But then it gets worse because this nature is incapable of seeing what forces its insidiousness trapped in having to tell lie and having to play roles with lie progressions in relationship to what nature of organized crime colonization were for it to stay that even kings didn't understand because it came through campuses, came through criminally re-engineered human education. That's where we lost understanding of this improper teaching of English, which is a correlation nature. So this is about nature, all parts of it. This is why when we say there's an independent clause, this is a nature, you see. So Adam and Eve are subject in relationship to the predicate is the identity they share. And when Adam and Eve take from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for example, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, this is used to teach about how, in other words, every independent clause can only have one main verb. Any other verb used, so Eve is a verb. Any other verb used in an independent clause has to be used as a participle nature or as an infinitive nature. In other words, the identity of the verb changes. The present participle is always made by attaching ing to the verb. See, now it's no longer a verb. Run is a verb. Now running is not a verb. Now it's a participle. Now it's a present participle. So it's no longer a verb. And see, now notice how a verb could stand alone as a one-word sentence if I said run, because it still has an independent nature, the word. The value nature of the word is still independent. So it is still of the nature that space nature's unchanging positive identity is. The second a verb is used in a sentence, but not as a main verb. See, if we use run with Bob, it's still a verb. It's still a predicate verb because it's still attached to the to space nature's unchanging positive identity, the predicate, which is the predicate is correlation inherent to the nature of the predicate. So it's not when it's not with the predicate, it's not with that. It's not that identity. In other words, so now if we make running, if we inflect it, it's called inflecting a verb. If we inflect a verb and we add an ing ending on it, now it's a noun. Or you could use it as a it depends how you use it. You can use it to describe. So in other words, and then if you put to before run, it becomes to run. Now it's in an infinitive nature. It's still not independent nature. In conjunction with a subject, which an independent clause has a subject and a predicate, and it can stand alone as a sentence. Is stand alone as a sentence is quoting, because that's what most of these English books use that same line. In other words, it means that it could be its own complete sentence. It's a segment of a sentence. In other words, you could add another phrase or another word with a semicolon or a comma, and these are sentence segments. So we're going to look at there are three sentence segments, and we're going to show you how this is the Trinity and its relationship to unchanging value in relationship to the articles, the definite articles and the positive article. Indefinite article. The is the only definite article in English, but value a is the definite article of Arabic, right to left, and this is also the definite article of space nature's unchanging positive value nature identity. English was saved by Islam because the Old Testament and Islam and other religions were forced already criminally re-engineered ancient revelations. Why were ancient revelations criminally engineered? Because they knew then they could have humanity perpetually blaming on other causes. In other words, justifying identities of nations that are self-defeating. In other words, as evidence fabrication nature is measured as such, only let realized. Since human education was sabotaged, the actual nature of internation relationships. Internation science originally, but was before war. There are proofs of this, and then there are proofs that there are criminal insidiousness narratives throughout history that are still defended, enforced, And our legal nature is not by accident failed to understand and to explain the nature of criminal insidiousness and of predicate acts and of the nature of the organized crimes, and with the overall one with colonization and referred to by the Old Testament. In other words, the devil is an archetypal criminal enterprise. There are proofs that this is what it's about. And al-Jahaliya is referring to there are the different takes on it, and they all have flaws. Al-Jahaliya is this for the same reason American history has flaws, with no one be able to explain the legal nature roles with colonization's terror policing force shared, and terror database relationship with terror laws, not just against color, but against everybody. To force color, and to force all kinds of entertainment, evidence fabrication natures only realized as legal natures. Interscience, multi-front obfuscations of actual law and potential, and positive space nature identity. So we have what was originally revealed perfectly without criminal persuasions. Then we had it criminally legalized. So now we have negative value nature progressions and demonstration of this ancient times. But what it was criminally engineered for was to exploit us, blaming this on other things. So we have a nature of sciences, and we have a nature of humanity that was only realized, invested, needed to defend rationalized logic and lies as evidence fabrication natures, but as trained to be, and as indifferences trained, and blind to all that is with that. Just especially after the evil with it. Evil wasn't just the force. That wasn't for economic reasons where people put those terror laws. This was to hold, when you put them all in context. And then when you put the multi-front, what they did with the media and things like that, it requires describing a nature of organized crime that we're still as a nature of. So they're not going to do that, because it's going to see. That's what this method does with the sciences. It only lets the natures of nations and of the stewards of the states of nations realize self-defending, trained, self-defeat, trained. That's the only way to realize self-defending that. So Adam stands for Alpha diffuses Alpha's mother. Eve stands for Eve's energy. Energy's victory energizes. And we're going to learn about, in other words, A is an invisible longing inside the A, between the two space natures and the semi-line going across it. And this is like 11, because it's inherent to 0. And A is also in other words, it's fully discernible inherent through correlation in 0, as the value of 0. It is semi-discernible correlated through correlation as the value of 1. In other words, just like 11 moves on to 12, 1 is 11 moving on to 12, but it's with invisible value A longing inherent to 0. And then there's another value A, fully discernible through correlation, as 1. 1 is drawn like the L because it's a nature of longing. In other words, there's 3 natures of longing in each nature, because there's a trinity. A trinity is 3 natures of longing, as unchanging positive value nature coming through temporary value nature. So that's in forever nature, where it's unchanging value to itself, positive space nature's positive identity, its value A, becomes value L the definite article of Arabic. Um, Longing, because in temporary space nature, where it is juxtaposed with temporary space nature, unchanging, that positive value. All temporary space nature longs to that. Now that's the force that causes evolution. We're going to see that the sciences, ancient sciences, knew how to be unchanging positive value nature to cause positive value nature progressions. And then everything that is not as positive space nature identity or longing to it as value all, is longed away from it. And that's value ALL, value all. Alpha longs long. Now, that perfect nature of A causes two semi-perfect natures that are perfectly together progressively. Those two longings in value ALL. And that, because it is unchanging positive value nature, it's all progressive value. And through temporary space nature, that's value AH. That's inherent to what is diffusing through us. If we are not positive value nature, that's value AN. That's the male and the female are either lowercase value AN. In other words, ancient sciences used English this way. The lowercase value natures, this is to teach about temporary value nature, bodies of value, with unchanging positive value inherent to it. In other words, inherent to consciousness and inherent to all semi-temporary value natures is unchanging positive value nature. And it's actively a demonstration of this to us. So, that's why, in other words, now Adam and Eve takes from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and Adam takes from it. There's a reason Eve takes from it first. It's got nothing to do with, this is how we are the value together. In other words, man is mother's alpha neutralizes. Man is not outside being the value of the mother. In other words, the woman. And the woman is not outside being the value of the man. Because this is the way we are, a correlation nature. We are a polarity nature of the same correlation nature, which is unchanging positive in demonstration to us. With two other natures is a trinity in relationship to its value. It's progressively, so its value's progression is the phenomenon of temporary identities becoming more positive value nature value, and with nature, with the consciousness, in other words, value nature, but then there's another value that's unchanging. So we're going to learn about a whole bunch of different sciences the way the ancients did, demonstrably. And this is the way the Allah's name is used to teach this, from right to left and from left to right distinctly. Why? Because a nature that is unchanging is diffusing through matter vertically and horizontally. And this all, like in other words, everything that's not, everything either longs to, is long towards, it's as positive value, unchanging positive value nature is as to or pushing, longing everything from itself in temporary value nature. And that nature, in that being in the range of that nature, will not go beyond. That causes positive value nature progressions. And what that is when value AH is inherent to our as our identity and as our acts and as as the nature of whatever is being discerned. When value AH is inherent to it, that means the nature is actively positive always. In other words, the nature of our ideas, of our business, of our business is not unchanging, positive always, and we have negative value nature progressions and demonstration of it because we have negative value nature justifying the broke legal standards, forced negotiations in relationship to physical delusions with business and value nature systems, all ulterior from the only one shared common positive value nature. So I tried to make this real short, but that's what it is. Every letter spells out a word, and every word spells out a sentence with English. And this is in demonstration of how English is one body. Even the subparts share the same positive value nature identity. So it's actively in relationship to a nature that is greater than us always. And this is what we're going to learn. And we need some. We're gonna show how. So in other words, inherent to zero is value A, a longing, just like 11 goes to 12. But this is invisible. We're going to learn, so that's what in the video about the three natures of the zero. That's why I'm getting to that. Then we're going to get, then you put, there's two polarities beyond this. Only because of the nature of diffusion. Only because it's being divided, well, actively. In other words, it's not being, in other words, a semi-nature of the nature that is in temporary value nature and in forever nature at the same time, space nature. It is three ways. And so not to complicate it, but it's just the so the predicate act makes Eve and Adam's. In other words, they broke up, they made a predicate act. That's what the tree of knowledge of good and evil stands for. They went with an ulterior from natural value nature system for the nations, of humanity, for human sciences. In other words, now they have to start hiding from their own positive identity, space nature positive identity, because unchanging positive space nature identity is actively in demonstration. It demonstrates this with positive or value nature progressions alone. But when it's a criminal enterprise that forces this, an internation one, you have to you can't tell the truth. You can't. You're on ulterior from actual value nature system, so you're going to cause negative value nature progressions that you have to hide. Not only from law, physical law, but from yourself, because you're not going to want it. See, that's why we have an ulterior from natural value nature system. That's why it's so bad, because people are told by these pseudosciences to identify as the jobs they have, and just fear and delusions are justifying us since founding. Start pounding drums. Read the native dreams, so value comes. Inherent to the landscape is a way that's active. Inherent to the value of our most exploited areas is the only way that the real positive value nature goes there first. That's the way it works. Bottom up. So, and what we have to do is attach this to the landscape too. And it can't be. This is not a comparison game. Value is a correlation game. And everything else is not a game, and it hurts. And in other words, you can't look at yourself comparatively to know identity. And this trick, this criminally re-engineered sciences, teach people to think that you can look at yourself comparatively to know identity. To understand identity, you have to understand the nature that has its own identity, that is unchanging, and not being its own identity, which is nature inherent to consciousness. It demonstrates negative value nature progressions, and that's serious because because there also that was the method of this organized crime that there are proofs of, which is to realize that the nations are only going to blame this on other things and having differences to it in relationship to systemic facts mistreatments. So if anyone tries to reveal the proofs of this, we have systemic problems with needs for people to hide finite lies. And this is in relationship to all the pushes to claim the value of jobs more than they're worth. In fact, even environment destroying, nature destroying jobs. You know, we have a value nature system that exploits women, children, elderly. We have human value standards that are justifying themselves not having enough money because we put physics in comparison before metaphysics and real value, which is the cause to metaphysics, which is the nature of metaphysics, which is only temporary nature, only inherent to what is consciousness is unchanging space nature's positive identity. And when we fall inside this range, this is heaven. Because once we're done with our choices, if our choices were that positive value nature, to be that nature within the range of unchanging positive value, that's a progressive value. So once your identity is unchanging positive value, you remain progressively that. That's heaven. You know, that's where the term heaven came from with pantheism, the science. This is a scientific term before it was a religious one. Religions are about not only how this is about science, but they're about how they lost science because they didn't understand space nature's unchanging positive religiously. Not God. Because God is a concept in our minds that we're trying to understand this with. No, what it actually is. God is a correlation value. Inherent to what God is to us is what God really is, which is space nature's unchanging positive value. And there's science demonstrates this because real honest science with no criminal persuasions, especially with no criminally legalized persuasions, it reveals this.